I shouldn't have had those car beers.
You pissing?
No.
Oh.
Just I'm sweating.
Well, I don't imagine this one will be too long.
Yeah.
Or it'll be all right.
Oh, I'm not worried about it. I'm just trying to bring the thunder.
It's also fucking hot in here.
The thunder has to show up before the lightning.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, sorry.
I trailed off because we got to talking, but I was just thinking, like, if I'm sitting at 5 and, like, best case scenario, all 4 first picks are running backs. So I'm sitting at 5 and say the Packers draft Treylon Burks. Drake London and Garrett Wilson are probably still going in front of Treylon Burks. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So, like, if I could swap with you, pick up a second to swap, and then still end up with Treylon Burks instead of taking Treylon Burks over London and Wilson.
Who's at 6? Is that Lance again?
Lance. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think he's going to go receiver because he's going to go Rachaad White at 6.
Oh, that makes sense. I should just take Rachaad White then. That'd be funny.
I'd probably take Rachaad White if he's there at 7, depending on the wide receiver landing spots. Like, my team needs everything, you know. Obviously, I need to recoup a wide receiver, but 2027 is my year. You know, people have a win now. Like, I'm going win now. I'm going win never.
Yeah, you are.
Nice.
Win never. So, oh well, I tore it down. See if we can rebuild this motherfucker. I only start my best players every week. I'm not a punk ass bitch. Welcome to the show, everybody. Rough Draft Research in the house.
Hey, yo.
Sup?
We're doing what we always do in the middle of April, and that's March Madness rookie brackets. The past couple of weeks, we've been hitting the round of 64, round of 32, hit a sweet 16 last week, and now we're finishing it up. Elite 8 all the way to crowning the king. So this is a one quarterback style. So at this point, there are no quarterbacks. So hold on to your butts. We got 4 wide receivers, 3 running backs, and we even slipped a tight end in there for you. So what up? Fellas, you got any how do you do's throw out there?
No, not particularly. Just ready. Let's do it.
Ready to rock, man. OTAs started today for new head coaches. So watched a few Vikings interviews. I won't get into it, but it was just really exciting. Feels like kind of the beginning of football. So
OTAs.
Yeah, baby.
All right. I don't know.
I woke up to an article alert that Aaron Rodgers is skipping OTAs. So
what's
just
new?
like,
hey, man. You get
just
paid,
like last year.
You get
Let's
paid
go.
for it either way. Let's go.
I guess he's winning MVP again.
History be repeating itself. Well, all that was boring. So let's get right into the party. We're starting out at the top left, like we always do, with the final matchup of the orange bracket. And in this matchup, we have Treylon Burks. He is a wide receiver out of Arkansas, and he's up against Trey McBride, tight end out of Colorado State. Well, I actually didn't pick any winners this week because I thought we'd just talk it out and see what happened.
Oh, okay. Makes sense.
But yeah, I think Treylon Burks wins this one.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it sucks. McBride, with McBride, you're getting the best tight end in the draft class, which I don't know that a few weeks ago we would have said that so definitely, but it is. Like, he is just the best tight end in this class. Especially if the pro day numbers are accurate. he may not have the highest ceiling because he's not like the raw athlete of some of these other guys or what we thought these other guys were going to bring, but he's still going to bring you consistent receiving numbers, which is always going to be a huge asset for your fantasy squad. If you can have a tight end that can consistently get you 12 or more points, that's going to average you like 4 more points than a typical tight end on a weekly basis. And so that's hugely important. The only reason he loses to Burks here to me is the untapped potential of Burks. And other than that, the best tight end versus one of the best receivers, Burks is going to get the draft capital. He's most likely going in the first round of the NFL draft, where Trey McBride, probably more like the second or third round. But, those are the only reasons. But I think if you can go get McBride, if you need a tight end, or maybe you have an older tight end and you want to slide somebody in to take their place, McBride will be a really good option for you, I think.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, you mentioned the pro day numbers. So McBride evidently he ran a 4.56, which we're calling a 4.61 at his pro day. Not that different from Treylon Burks. And he's got quite a bit of size on him. He's 6'4", 246 pounds. So definitely an athlete. As you're mentioning, he's a badass. He was the John Mackey Award winner, which is the best tight end in all of college football. And there's a good reason for it. It's crazy seeing the numbers because he had a crazy amount of production. I'll get into it real quick. This last season was just over 1,100 yards. I will say in 2020, in 4 games, he had 330 yards. 2019 was 560 yards. But the thing that blows my mind watching him play is, he was in line all the time. He blocked very well. He was doing a ton for this team, a whole lot more than just catching the ball. So to be that every down tight end that was a blocker and just aggressively playing O-line and to still have over 1,100 receiving yards really blew my mind. But I thought he had great hands and nice routes, and I'm heating up on him. I thought it would be cool if he had more than one touchdown with that many yards, but after watching him play, I kind of get it. It is what it is. I think that he can definitely make a pretty big impact, and I'm excited to see what he can do in the NFL. I think he's going to be definitely the first tight end off the board, and not probably making a year one impact, but someone you want to have on your fantasy team without.
Speaking of that, though, I think if anybody could make a year one impact at tight end, I do actually think it's Trey McBride. I mean, he's not the physical specimen of like Kyle Pitts last year, but he's already been in a high volume role. Like, okay, yeah, you're right. He didn't have the touchdown numbers, and that sucks. We'd love to see that go up. But 1,000 yards for a tight end in college is huge. And so he's already in that. He's already used to being in a high volume role. So hopefully maybe he can kind of offset that tight end rookie slump that people get a lot, because I feel like a lot of tight ends have to learn offenses. Even like crazy tight ends don't have crazy numbers in college. So he's already done it. Maybe he can make this transition a little quicker. The only thing that kind of scares me about that is, the level of competition at Colorado State was not the highest. So now he's jumping up to the NFL. But other than that, man, like I'm pretty excited on him. And then as far as landing spots, continuing from last week, I kind of already hit McBride. So I kind of just got routed in the one I said last week. And I just think Cincinnati would be awesome. I know the Bengals just lost CJ Uzomah. So I think Burrow needs a safety valve option. And I think Cincinnati needs to address the line in the first round. I know they signed some guys in the offseason, but I still think they go line in the first round or maybe another need. But if you could get McBride in the second or the third, I don't know. It may be a long shot now that they have Hayden Hurst there. I know his premium or name is still drawing a lot of attention. But I like that one a lot as far as landing spots for Trey McBride. But yeah, I'm really excited about him. I kind of really want to get him in the For the Belt League. I'm kind of in that perfect position that I mentioned with an older tight end that I need to find a replacement for. And I think I could get Trey McBride in the second round.
Old Zeus Kelsey got some juice in the tank, man. Don't worry about him at all. I do want to speak a little on your Colorado State competition comment. I just wanted to point out that a lot of the NFL players from that school are pass catchers. Michael Gallup, Rashad Higgins, BC Johnson, Preston Williams. These guys all came out of that school. So maybe there's something going on, man. Maybe they are coaching him up. Even that small school talent is translated into the NFL, which is something, just a little bump. Just give him a little nudge in the upward direction. So, well, hell yeah, that was fun talking about Trey McBride. Obviously a player to be excited about. So we're going to kick it now to the final matchup in the green bracket, and that is Drake London. He's the number 1 seed in this bracket, and he's the wide receiver out of USC. And then he's up against Isaiah Spiller, which is the running back out of Texas A&M. And I don't know. This is fun. Isaiah Spiller's taking an L here. Drake London will advance. And there's a lot to be said about this matchup. I don't know if you want to jump into Isaiah Spiller or.
I mean, it sucks. Isaiah Spiller disappointed at the combine a little bit. The burst score at a 7 or 8 percentile, whatever it was, is just really, really, really bad. But he's still one of the higher end options at running back. I have him 3rd-ish.
Yep.
I mean, probably, if I really want to do the rankings, probably move Rachaad White in front of him. So he's still sitting at 4 or 5, wherever you want to go. But he's still got an option. And I think his biggest, contributing factor of why he's interesting is he's a good receiver. He contributes in both the rushing and the pass game. So he's a 3-down back. Adding a 3-down back to your squad is going to be good no matter what, even if he's not the superstar that maybe we thought he was. And then he's young, man. He's got plenty of time to improve. My man can't even buy a beer yet. So
straight up,
you've got time to see if he can develop. So I don't know, reach for him or not. Don't reach for him. But if Spiller falls into your lap, he's been a consistent producer in college. 3 seasons, 2 for 1,000 yards, and then the other season was 946. So basically 3,000 yard seasons. I don't know. See where he lands for sure. There's some interesting landing spots I can get into. I'll let you kind of take it, and then I'll get into that later, I guess. But I don't know. He definitely loses to London. He was a bit disappointing. Spiller was a name I heard all offseason, and then when I watched him, I wasn't as impressed. But I still think he's a really good option for you if you're in need for an RB.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. Just to backtrack a little, you mentioned his age, right? He's 20.6. I've been meaning to throw out the ages as we go. Treylon Burks is 22, and Trey McBride is 22.4. Whatever the decimals mean, take it as you will. Drake London is 20.7, and Isaiah Spiller is 20.6, also known as the youngest player we'll be talking about here. So that's definitely intriguing when you're talking about the running back position. Another thing when you're talking about just his draft capital and, trying to rise on him a little bit, we're talking about a guy that was sub 200 carries all 3 years. When you compare him to some of these other fellas like Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker, like those guys got a little more miles on the tires. So there are some subtle bonuses to Spiller to, don't be disappointed if you end up with the number 3 running back in this class, because I got a little jacked watching his tape, man. Like the stuff he does on tape is pretty solid. He looks like a good runner. He's a little slow in his cuts behind the line of scrimmage, does run a little bit upright. But after seeing the rest of this class, I got to give him some credit for really being able to run through congestion at the line of scrimmage and really hit the gap and make things happen. And he, to me, seemed like he had a lot more net positive plays than a lot of these other guys that kind of get hit behind the line of scrimmage. So I'll give him a little bit of a bump, but I got to tear him down on the touchdown number. It's kind of crazy. He only had 6 rushing touchdowns this past year. And if you think, yeah, the volume was less compared to some of these other guys, that's true. But the fact that Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker both had 70 plus more carries than him doesn't really contribute to the touchdown numbers when you look at the per attempt rate. Isaiah Spiller scoring on 3.4% of his attempts, whereas Walker was at 6.9, double, and Breece was at 8%. So not being able to get in the end zone holds him back. You mentioned the pass catching work. He had at least 20 catches all 3 years. So he's definitely got those pass catching chops and a lot of potential. I think I was starting to fade him pretty hard behind guys like Rachaad White and Zamir White. But after watching a little more tape, I think he does have potential. Yeah, he is slow. But who isn't? Who isn't slow? Am I right? No, we're all a little slow. He's a little too damn slow, though.
I was going to say literally every wide receiver in this class, apparently.
Whoa, yeah. Only the ones we've talked about so far. But yeah, that was a 4.69 40. That's bad.
Yeah, that's not great.
That's Kyron numbers right there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But the
it does have the
interesting,
weight on him.
like we both already said, the interesting thing about him is his receiving, and that's why I think he's got to land somewhere where there's not. The best spot for Spiller to land is somewhere where there's not an option really at running back at all. Because if he goes somewhere where there's already kind of a receiver option, then that part of his game's going. But if he goes somewhere where the running game is already saddled up, then he turns into just a 3 down or like a 3rd down back. And so you don't want either of those things. So when I was looking at landing spots, honestly, these running backs are really hard to figure out where they're going to go. It's hard to even figure out the value, like how NFL teams value running backs and which ones need one or which ones want to spend an early pick. But there's some interesting places. I've seen Buffalo and Miami, which I think makes sense. But the one I think that makes the most sense for Spiller is Houston. Rex Burkhead is their starter right now. Marlon Mack just signed a deal, but I don't know. Take a chance on Spiller. Neither of those guys are long-term options for you. I think we all like Marlon Mack and we all want to see him do well, but we I don't know, just the injuries and stuff or whatever. But he is not the long-term option. So why don't you take a guy like Spiller that you already know can do everything? There's going to be so much room to grow in that offense. No one's a superstar. No one's going to be taking the shine. Like, that's the perfect place for a guy like Spiller to go and try and make a name for himself.
Yeah, man, he's already a Texas darling, Yeah. Went to high school, from Texas, played at A&M, and then boom, just sent him to Houston. Yeah, of course I'm cheering for Marlon Mack. I just all those sleeper notifications of people.
What about Marlon Mack?
What does this mean for Marlon Mack? It means that you just wasted everybody's life by typing that. But anyway,
that's for sure.
Well, I didn't want
to.
Go ahead.
Sleeper wants to focus on like that. Like, why did Marlon Mack get so much traction?
Yeah,
Dude,
I mean, it
comments.
was funny like once, but now it's like, Jesus. All right, just closing this app. I didn't want to let Spiller get away without telling you all he was 6 foot tall, 217 pounds. So that's good size. I
Really
think,
good
yeah,
size.
Houston's by far the place to be for him, man. For all these guys.
I love that Buffalo, too.
Yeah, but Buffalo, I
like that Buffalo because they were trying to target McKissick.
Okay.
So you gave me the targets there.
Oh,
Find a guy.
I got a place. All right, I got a guy for Buffalo for you later, homie.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to remember that whole class is coming up
That's
on their
true.
last year, right? That's
So-
the
Mm-hmm.
Demont, Miles Sanders,
Single-
Jacobs could get a 5th year, and then the Singletary.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, it would be remiss of me not to do my thing here. So we got the final four. Treylon Burks taking down Trey McBride. Drake London taking down Isaiah Spiller, the 2-1 seeds. What did you expect? On to the blue bracket. Let's go.
It's just all 1 seeds winning here. Nah, we'll see what happens. Okay, on to the blue bracket. We have Breece Hall, running back out of Iowa State, and he's up against Mr. Smooth. That's Chris Olave, wide receiver out of Ohio State. So, I think Breece Hall wins
Yeah,
for now.
it's a sad day. God, I'm not gonna steal too much of your thunder. I know Olave is one of your guys, but I mean, you've been right the whole time. He is just smooth. He caught a pass. I was watching tape preparing for this episode. In the game against Minnesota, he caught a pass near the sideline, kept himself inbounds, turned it up the field, and then they showed a replay. He never even looked for the sideline. Never once put his eyes down, nothing. Just knew where it was, kept his feet in bounds, and turned it up. He was already looking where he needed to run and who he needed to run away from. It's things like that you can't teach, and it's things like that make Olave so good. And he has very, very tiny concerns. He's never had 1,000 yards, but the competition at Ohio State is super fierce. So what are you going to do? You can't spread the ball around. I don't think that's anything on him. He's not the most elusive guy in the world in terms of broken tackles. He's more of a burn you before the catch as opposed to with the ball in his hands. He only had 10 broken tackles in his entire career at college. So, but I mean, when you're burning people on the regular, who gives a shit? So all of his holes or his maybe areas for concern, he covers up with something else he does. So I don't know. I'll let you take it away. I know this is one of your guys. I just wanted to put my 2 cents out there, and I'll hit you with some landing spots after.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, he is definitely my guy. Yeah, I remember acquiring picks in the 2021 rookie Dynasty draft, trying to get Chris Olave there at the 1-2 turn, but then he went back to school, and I was like, God damn, I guess I'll take whatever, Terrace Marshall Jr. Yeah. So we're hoping that my guys do a little better this year, Chris. And I think he's going to be doing great. This guy makes it happen from the snap all the way to the end zone. My favorite things about him, as you're mentioning, is he's just technically amazing. The footwork at the line, the way he runs into coverage and creates separation through his routes. And then he's got the speed, the 4.39, just to turn that inch that he gets at the line into a mile as he goes down the field. The thing about Chris Olave is you watch a quarterback do a 2-step drop back, and then he just throws it 30 yards. How the fuck that dude get 30 yards downfield that fast?
Yeah.
Just to be clean catch all the way through. He's amazing, man. He just gets wide open, and he makes the drive end in the end zone, which is where it should go. Am I right? But yeah, the fun thing is his average depth of target was 14.7, and his yards per reception were 14.4. So it's okay, he doesn't get a ton after the catch, and it is all deep yards, and the touchdown rate is pretty amazing. If he only caught 65 balls and scored 13 touchdowns, that's pretty impressive. I'll take that every day. I don't know, man. I just I'm so into Chris Olave that I just watch it and I marvel at it. Like I don't even know what to say about it because I've been such a believer for so long. I just hope he doesn't end up in a place where they try to make him play X because he's not physical enough to get that press. He needs to be in the Z role where he can, have a little space at the line of scrimmage and put his skills to work. So he's not as versatile as some of these other guys are, but he's fucking smooth, man. Like if he ends up on a team where they just need a guy to get open on 8 plays a game and then he catches half of those balls, then he's going to be a fantasy football, starting wide receiver. No doubt about it. So tell me, where can he do that shit?
There's a few places. One of them we should know pretty well on this podcast. It's Green Bay. Green Bay makes the most logical sense for Chris Olave. But here's the thing. I don't think they're going to get him. I think Olave is going to go earlier than people expect. And honestly, I think people are overreacting to the Saints getting 2 first-round picks, thinking they're going to trade up. They very well might trade up for one of those quarterbacks, but they traded because they traded the 2023 pick. So normally you would think, oh, maybe they're getting extra picks this year to build up for a quarterback they like next year. But now they don't have that pick. So maybe, but I think they really are just fine with taking a flyer on basically any of the quarterbacks, and they know they're all going to be there, and they want to add him a weapon. I think the Saints are going after Chris Olave. It makes a lot of sense for their offense as well. I think it's less appealing than Green Bay from a fantasy aspect because you don't know the QB situation. But that offense definitely needs a burner. I mean, they have Deontay Harris, who I'm holding on my fantasy roster, hoping that he's going to be that guy. But he's no Chris Olave, So I don't know. Those are some places. I think he's definitely going in the first round earlier than people expect. But I still think like London and Wilson are going in front of him. So I think the Saints make a lot of sense. They're in the middle there with a pick, with a need at wide receiver, but they're not going to be able to get London or Wilson, which is, where the Jets and another team are probably going to go. So I don't know. This one I have less of a feel for because Green Bay makes so much sense that it's hard to look anywhere else. But I just legitimately don't think Green Bay is going to get Chris Olave.
Yeah, I don't think so either. What do you think about Jameson, Williams, or Chris Olave? Who's off the board first?
Olave,
okay. Mm-hmm. I'm with you. I mean, if I was doing my thing, I'd be the Saints coach or GM, I guess, and I'd just let Jameis Winston throw the ball to Chris Olave all day. That sounds like a pretty cool football game to me. Maybe Michael Thomas can come in there and catch a couple slants or whatever.
Maybe you heard me actually play football.
Yeah, that's all right. We'll leave a cell phone under the pylon or whatever. You can pick that shit up when the phone rings. Well, I would be messing up my game.
Joe Horn.
If I didn't tell you that Breece Hall is 20.8 years old, and Chris Olave is the only non-early declare in the Elite Eight. But don't let that fool you. He is still under the age of 22. He is 21.8 years old, and he is a pure badass. Let me give you all of the numbers. He ran a 4.39, which I believe I already mentioned, and he had a vertical is 32, the broad jump just over 10 feet, and his burst score was 26th percentile. So, hey, party over here. His production in college, Christian mentioned he didn't have a 1,000-yard season, but as a sophomore, he had 850-ish yards. As a junior, 727, and then 936 this past year. And he totaled 35 touchdowns in 4 years. That's pretty cool. Like you can take that shit to the bank.
Not bad.
So we'll be seeing you soon, Chris Olave, and the 1-7. moving right along. Let's go to the next matchup, the last matchup. And it's, it's the last of the Elite Eight. It's Garrett Wilson. That is another Ohio State wide receiver. Party over there. And then you've got Kenneth Walker III, running back out of Michigan State.
Tough.
What are you
Tough. I think it's a bad beat for the Buckeyes receivers back to back. Personally, I love Garrett Wilson, but that premium at the running back position that I will pretty much always believe in. I just got to go with Kenneth Walker here. Garrett Wilson, love him though. I still have him probably if I had to choose gun to my head between London and Wilson, I'd probably take Wilson. I like the speed coming in just under 4.4. I think he's the cleanest route runner in the draft. Just absolute filth of a moveset. Filthy moveset. There we go. Whatever I'm trying to say. With or without the ball, he just absolutely just makes people look silly. Maybe not necessarily the best route runner because Drake London has something to say about that, but the cleanest. It just looks the most natural to me. He's getting compared to guys like Deontay Johnson and Jerry Jeudy. So the kind of like high profile that people are expecting Garrett Wilson to perform at. There's just no glaring weaknesses in his game. He's just good at everything. And I don't know. I think he can fit in every offense and be elite. He's got the speed to be a deep threat. He's got the route running ability to just annihilate a defense if you need him to on the short game, and then he can break you over the top. There's just not many places that he needs to improve, and that's kind of what you want. I mean, he could be more physical. That's a lot. That you could say that about both the Ohio State guys, but other than that, I don't know. I like him a lot, but you got to go for the second best running back in the class here, in my opinion. There's a bunch of receivers you can take a chance on later, but Garrett Wilson's a top 1 or 2. So,
yeah, it's a bad draw for him. He enters our only upset with Wilson being the number 1 in this bracket. He's 21.7 years old, and he's getting beat by a 21.4-year-old Kenneth Walker, this number 2 ranked. But like you're saying, he's awesome. I can't help but compare him to Chris Olave just because they're next to each other in the bracket, played together at Ohio State. I did my research in the order at which the players appear, so I was watching the tape back to back. And both these guys are right there at that 6 foot, 190 pounds-ish. And pretty much identical speed, a little faster for Garrett Wilson at a 4.38. Oh, that's a little bit faster. But like you're saying, he's just so shifty in his routes, like before and after catching the ball. He just moves. He's feisty as hell with his crazy, just like, I don't know how to put it. It's like distracting kind of extra movements. And he has a couple of weird signature moves that I really like. He's got like he does the hop stomp move where he kind of like slows down and hops on 1 foot and then just kind of tries to stomp past guys. And his ability to change direction and stop on a dime with the ball in his hand and before he catches the ball just creates separation, and it creates extra yards after the catch. And I think he's quite a bit more physical than Olave, and I think he's way more versatile than Olave. A lot of screen, a lot of jet sweep style stuff, and I think you're right. He can just step on the field and do whatever anyone needs him to do. I think, damn, like I don't think he's the best wide receiver in this class because I really do like Drake London, but I do think he's the best route runner, and just his style makes him just next level compared to a bunch of awesome wide receivers. So that's saying a lot. He did have 1,000 yards this past season and 12 touchdowns. His sophomore year was 723 yards, 6 touchdowns, and freshman year was 432 yards with 5 touchdowns. So quite a few slot snaps as a sophomore. And like I said, just kind of all over the place this past year. But he produced on his work and fucking just kicked ass. I think he probably is number one off the board, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if he wasn't. I mean, London has, again, an argument there. If you read almost any mock draft on Earth, you already know that Garrett Wilson's getting drafted by the Jets. So I don't want to spend a ton of time talking about the Jets or the Eagles. Those are the two most commonplace I'm seeing to him, and those make sense. But the most interesting one to me is if this team is willing to sacrifice this year and get a quarterback in a 2023 draft that's supposed to be loaded with quarterbacks. If that's kind of where their head's at, I know we like quarterbacks, but just like last year, we're going to like all the rookies more than they're going to end up being. So if this team doesn't think that one of these quarterbacks is the real deal and wants to wait till 2023, and it kind of seems like they might think that because they went and gave Marcus Mariota a contract. Ooh. But if the Falcons wanted to grab Garrett Wilson to replace Calvin Ridley and load up that offense for a new quarterback in 2023 and have Kyle Pitts ready to go and have a number one receiver like Garrett Wilson ready for whoever this guy is, I think that would make a lot of fucking sense.
I like it.
You already signed Mariota. You know you're going to start him this year, so fuck it. Give him the best chance to succeed. Maybe you can awaken the number 2 overall pick that you're waiting for when you inevitably don't, because we just know who Marcus Mariota is at this point.
Amazing.
Then next year you go get your rookie quarterback, and now he's already got weapons. Let's go. Let's go, dirty birds, fly.
Fly, you dirty
I like
birds.
it. So that sets our final 4. The blue champion, Breece Hall, beating out Chris Olave. And then the second Buckeye goes down in the red. Garrett Wilson losing out to Kenneth Walker. So the final 4 set. We have the orange champion, Treylon Burks. We have the green champion, Drake London. Battle of the receivers. And on the other side, the battle of the running backs. The blue champion, Breece Hall. And the red champion, Kenneth Walker the third. Not walked like I put here. You would see my mistake if you were watching. If you were walking the YouTube.
If you were walking Phoenix, you would see my mistake.
But anyway, let's get into it. Final 4 is set.
Oh man. Whew. Here we go. The final 4. Starting it out with the wide receiver room, as AJ has just mentioned. So we have Treylon Burks, the wide receiver out of Arkansas, and he's up against Drake London. Ooh, wide receiver out of USC. My God, what is going to happen here? Okay. At this point, we have to make a decision. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to decide to advance Drake London.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I liked building the suspense there, but no, I'm right on bar, right there with you. But Burks, man, we've talked about Burks a lot. He was in our wide receiver episode.
Check it out.
I know, first time listeners, so we're still going to cover him, but I may not go as in depth as normal. But, his performance might have been slightly disappointing at the combine. We kind of expected him at his size, his speed on tape made you think maybe he was like a 4.4 guy at 220, and that would be an incredible find. He didn't end up being that, but I don't think it's going to hurt his draft stock too much, to be honest. He's too raw of an athlete. even with a 4.5 instead of a 4.4, that size is just too. It's too hard to ignore. So somebody's going to take a swing. It's going to be in the first round. His film doesn't lie, hopefully, is what all these teams are going to be thinking. He can flat out run for 220, even though it's not that crazy speed we were thinking about. And he's just he's the most raw prospect, but somebody's going to take a chance on him. And this is a guy you're going to want to get a hold of. If you miss out on Garrett Wilson or Drake London, do exactly what the NFL teams are going to do and go after a guy like Burks and just wait and see.
Smooth. Yeah, I'm with you on Treylon Burks. I mean, we already had our suspicions of why wasn't he playing the outside, and then the 40 time came in, and it was disappointing, as you mentioned, 4.55. But you gotta really think about what you're talking about. This guy came in and was a complete badass, kind of changed the whole offense there in Arkansas, played a lot of the slot. And he did crazy shit like get 9.3 yards after the catch, And you think the guy plays slot, he's got a lot of screen passes. Maybe he doesn't have the deep yards, but that's not true. He's got 456 of them deep yards out of his 1,100 yards. So that's quite a bit. I think he is a little more versatile than the limited wide snaps showed. But yeah, he's aggressive, and I think that we are all going to be pretty pleased to see how he translates some of that physicality to the next level. Even though he wasn't fast in the combine, I think that he showed good speed off the line of scrimmage, and he does well in shaking coverage, and he does block really well too, which is kind of a big deal. That's kind of an underrated thing for college wide receivers, but it is definitely very important to NFL coaches. So between that and the physicality he has at the tackle point, just sloughing guys off, I think, he's going to – I think he comes in the NFL with a lot of juice, and he's going to translate it straight into smashing some defenders and making some guys kind of question their career decisions, as they say. I'm not saying he's like the next DK Metcalf or anything, or like a slower DK, but he's got the physicality to make a name for himself and become a dominant player at the next level, I think. So. Yeah,
and I don't like to rely on this, but it is a thing. Game speed can be different than actual speed. Jordy Nelson made a career on that. My boy behind me right here. People always thought he was slower than what he actually was. And he made him pay for it on these long touchdowns all the time. And guess who player profiler compares Treylon Burks to? Jordy Nelson. So it's not impossible to think that he could have a similar type game speed where, Jordy Nelson ran like a 4.5 or 4.6, something like that. I think he ended up with a 4.4, whatever it is. Doesn't matter to my point. But I don't know. It can be different. Game speed versus speed, and that's kind of what we're hoping for Burks. But yeah, he's still going to be productive. He's going to bring physicality. And, when you talk about landing spots, the same kind of usual suspects this year with the wide receivers pop up: Green Bay, Kansas City, New Orleans. But my gut tells me this is the guy that Green Bay is going to get. I think Olave is going to be gone. And if there are any other Packers fans listening, stop deluding yourself. We're not replacing Devontae Adams with one guy. He did too much. He was too good. So with Olave gone and the top two guys, London and Wilson, most likely gone, and probably another receiver in there, I think Burks makes a lot of sense. He gives you a very physical presence. And then I think Green Bay kind of addresses maybe a more polished speed guy in the second round. That they can try and go after. But I think that's where Burks lands, gives Rodgers that number one physical receiver. I think it'll be interesting, though. But, yeah, he definitely loses to London. London's arguably the best receiver in the draft, and Burks is a expectation of skill set. more than he is a true player at this point.
The Isaiah Spiller of the draft. We get it.
Yeah, his lack of usage on the outside makes him incomplete, and the lack of speed. But I think that Velus Jones is gonna get picked up by the Packers.
Yeah, I could see that. Makes a lot of sense.
4th round, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
That's he's gonna be a nice find for them. AJ thinks that would really take a lot of pressure off of Kylan, you know,
Being the next Devo and all. So
that's
no big deal.
yeah,
No
be
big
the
deal.
next Devo. Actually, I did see. I saw somewhere someone was talking about ranking AJ Dillon higher than Aaron Jones in their dynasty rankings. I wanted to see what you thought about that.
I don't think it's
Dynasty.
Well, first of all, I think people very quickly forget that Aaron Jones was still a top 10 running back last year. People keep saying that, like, oh, he had a disappointing year. And it's like, okay, sorry that he was 10th. My fucking bad. But
Stupid ass double digit.
But
bullshit.
I'm actually not necessarily against ranking AJ Dillon higher. I think they want to save Aaron Jones. I don't know that I would do it because I think Aaron Jones just produces more than people expect. But Aaron Jones is so dangerous because he's so goddamn efficient. He does this with the limited amount of carries and the limited amount of touches that Green Bay gives him, and he still ends up as the 10th RB. And that's why I think people sometimes are disappointed, because sometimes he has games where he only gets like 5 or 6 points, but then he gets 48 the next week, and so it all balances back out. And I think that's still what they're going to do with him. Dillon, I think, may end up being more of the workhorse, getting more carries, because he's built to do that. He's 240 pounds. He can just run over people. Whereas Aaron Jones is a little bit more fragile, but he is it's the perfect thunder and lightning combination. You use lightning after you've done a bunch of thunder and made them all kind of compress, and they get that bigger package on the defense to try and stop Dillon. And then you bring Jones out there and let him run up the sideline, and they can't catch him.
And then,
So I think you could see Jones getting less work overall, and maybe not being a true starter anymore, even though he'll definitely be the starter, but maybe Dillon gets more work. But I think it's going to just be, whichever one they want to use against which defense they're playing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I like
anyway.
that. And I just thought, I was all Aaron Jones because like he gets the extra targets with Devontae leaving, but
Yeah.
then I found out that Kylan Hill's the new Deebo Samuel. So
according
I was
to a
like,
tweet
true.
from an amateur.
so
The thunder, the lightning, and then
the
the
hailstones.
rain. Yeah.
Oh, pull the shit in the garage.
Dude,
All right, well, cool. You
was
apologized to
being-
some Green Bay Packer fans, so I just thought I'd make it up to them real fast.
That's fair.
But yeah, sorry guys. I'm
Well,
having fun doing all that. Are you gonna
let me have my
recap?
moment.
Oh,
Recap the championship, beating out Treylon Burks, Drake London. All right, on to you, Dan.
Okay. Damn, that was a quick recap. You're too good at this. Well, hard to say that this isn't the main event, but we have drum roll, please. No drum rolls. All right, that's enough of that. No, my bad. Breece Hall, wide receiver out of running back out of Iowa State, and he's up against Kenneth Walker III, running back out of Michigan State. Oh boy.
It's Breece Hall. It's Breece Hall.
Okay.
It's Breece Hall.
Okay.
It's the
For
guy
one
with the
reason and
1-1
one
right
reason.
here.
Okay.
One reason and one reason only. Breece Hall has proved it in the receiving game, and Kenneth Walker has not. Doesn't mean he can't. I think Kenneth Walker has an argument that he is a better pure runner, maybe, than Breece Hall. But Breece Hall's already done it in the receiving game, and he's just an elite running back himself. And, Walker's only done it for 1 year. So there's red flags with Walker that you just don't have with Breece Hall. But Breece Hall, then that's what makes Breece Hall win. But Walker has a lot of upside. If you told me in 10 years that Kenneth Walker had a better career than Breece Hall, I'd be surprised, but not that surprised.
I'd believe you.
Player profilers comparing Kenneth Walker to LaDainian Tomlinson. So you can see what people think of him. It's just sad because in today's fantasy landscape, you really need a guy that can catch passes, and he just hasn't done that for you enough for you to believe that he's going to do it consistently. But he runs with purpose every single time he touches the ball. If he's going for 1 yard or 90 yards, it looks the same every time he runs, and that's awesome. He had 4.46 yards per attempt after contact, which puts him 4th in the nation. That's awesome. I don't know. He's going to be an incredible running back. I don't think he's going to, end up in an offense where they're going to use him in the passing game that much because they don't want to take a chance on if he sucks at it. And so that's his drawback. But, man, is he a hell of a runner.
Yeah. Yep. Kenneth Walker the Doke. Yep. Man.
Kenneth Doke Walker.
I've just been pondering aimlessly on the Doke skill set ever since I acquired the 101. The question burns, is Doke Walker the real cheese to be squeezed? He seems to me like a guy who has a pretty awesome ability as a runner. The skill set is incredible. The speed to beat the edge is undeniable. The vision, the agility in space. Oh, the breakaway runs. Good Lord. Early in my profiling process with Kenneth Walker, I had a couple issues with him. Mostly his ability as an inside runner I thought was a little lacking. He definitely has plays where he hits a wide open hole and crushes it, but he also has plays where he runs into his blockers. There seems to be some times when upfield he kind of loses focus, doesn't see a tackler, Maybe there's room to improve. But if he winds up in a place with a good O-line that can give him that space at the line of scrimmage to let him get into space and use that open field quickness and agility and that vision, the guy's going to be badass. I'm just saying, I know he didn't catch very many balls. 13? Is that what we're saying? 13? Yeah. That's a super fucking low number. But he looked good on those 13 catches. I can tell you that much. So it all comes to where he ends up. I did what not a lot of people are willing to do, and I went and watched some Wake Forest tape before the transfer to Michigan State. And it was what it was. The guy has got really slow cuts in the backfield, a lot of doubling back. There's some things that he seemed to outgrow. So that makes me think if he can take that leap with the better coaching or better offensive program, like what could happen if he ends up in a good NFL backfield. So I'm keeping my eye on the Doke himself. He is the Doke Walker Award winner. And that's not nothing. So we got a couple of Doke Walker Award winners tearing up the fantasy world right now. 2-time Jonathan Taylor, and then Najee Harris won last year. So it means something. That's something to keep an eye on. He edged out Breece Hall. But Kenneth Walker, 21.4 years old. If you want to know about his production at Wake Forest, he had exactly 579 yards, both as a freshman and a sophomore, before kicking it up with Michigan State at the 1,634-yard number. Insane. One thing that kind of blows my mind was despite only having 119 attempts his sophomore year with Wake Forest, he still had 13 touchdowns. That's pretty good. I'll take that all the way. This past year, he had 18 touchdowns. And yeah, he's just a fast, complete running back. He is 5'11", 210. If he was 5'11", 218, I'd probably be tripping right now. I'd be having a even worse time than I'm already having. But yeah, you lose to Breece Hall, pal. Figure out your life. Get back to us.
5'9".
5'9". I don't know if that's true. 5'9". Huh?
Well, while you guys figure that out, I'll talk about some landing spots. Again, he falls into that weird RB kind of category.
5'9".
But there's a few places that make a lot of sense. I've seen Arizona. I've seen Buffalo. I've seen Tampa Bay. A lot of those make sense. But honestly, and I'm not going to take credit for this one because I'm pretty sure you guys have mentioned this a few times, but I think the Dolphins make a lot of sense. They kind of have a good defense, and Kenneth Walker wouldn't need to be a receiving option in that offense. They just got Tyreek Hill. They have Jalen Waddle. If you're throwing the ball, you're probably throwing to one of those guys. But Walker can be that punch you in the mouth option that offense kind of needs now. They've got a lot of speed. They've got a lot of trickery. They've got a lot of talent. Now give a guy that you can throw in there that's going to run right at the defense and force them to either have to play against him with two small corners because they're guarding against the speed and he's just going to run right through them, or now you have to put heavier guys to stop Kenneth Walker, and now that speed is going to burn you over top. I think it makes a lot of sense to me. I could see him down in South Beach for sure.
Well, that's incredible to think about, just the fact that your outside players are going to have to match up to speedy wideouts, and his whole game is beating you to the edge, right? So you're going to have some fast linebackers too. Your outside linebackers taking care of business. Son of a bitch. Kenneth Walker, you devil. You demon deacon, you motherfucker. Man, and you can't get too far without saying he had 4.46 yards after contact per attempt. So
yeah,
fucking
thought
this
I said
guy,
that.
dude. You probably did, man. I'm in a fever dream over here. I'm having a lot of problems.
Well, there you have it. Breece Hall beating out Kenneth Walker. We got the ship. Drake London versus
Kenneth Walker.
Breece Hall. Whoa.
I read that wrong. My bad.
Do you wanna?
No. No, you're good. I'm just doing a thing. I'm doing a bit.
He's doing Daniel things. He wants to trade out of the 101 to trade back to another pick. I already see it coming. It's not even that he thinks he's better. It's just what he wants to do.
Well, Aaron offered me the 2-3 and the 1-2 to move up to the 101.
Yeah,
Probably send him that if you want to do it.
Honestly, he was sold on Breece Hall until you said that the other day, and then it's just like, I don't know, man. It sounds pretty good. I think Kenneth Walker's pretty good.
Now, as soon as we did that trade, I started tilting on Breece Hall. That's just how my mind works. But depending on the landing spot, I mean, if Kenneth Walker gets into Miami, and then Breece Hall is, I don't know, in Atlanta or something, I can make an argument for gathering the 203 to take Kenneth Walker.
Here you go.
No problems. Well, that's too much for me, guys. We're just going to call it here. We got the championship. This is what it's all been leading up to. Moment of hurrah for the 62 players who couldn't be here at the championship. You guys are superior to us in all ways, except for we put on a one bitchin' podcast. So here it is.
Also, they might suck. I'd like to think we don't suck as people. Who knows? They might suck.
Yeah.
Better people than them.
Should we do special awards? How about like the greatest picture on all these random websites? Chris Olave, he has like the best pictures.
Yeah.
On all the random.
Nice. Yeah.
He's got like the headband on one of them. Like he's got the good look going there. So yeah, Mr. Congeniality. There you go.
I love it.
Whoo, boy. I just didn't know. I knew my life was leading up to this, and I thought I'd be ready in the moment. But am I? It's Drake London, USC wide receiver, up against Breece Hall, Iowa State running back. And I've got to say, I'm not the only person here that thinks this is obviously Breece Hall winning. Am I right?
Yeah, Breece Hall wins, but it's close. I mean, you're talking about the number one running back and the possible number one receiver, a lot of people's number one receiver. But London Bridge has finally fallen down.
Oh,
It's that Achilles. No, it's an ankle region joke.
But Drake London just plays like a man. You know what I mean? Like his speed is his only weakness, but he makes up for it by being dominant everywhere else on the field. His route running is top tier. He's crazy elusive for a guy that's 6'4", pushing 220. Doesn't really make a lot of sense, but he's got moves for days. And he doesn't need to be elusive because he's physical and strong, and he can just throw you off of him when he wants to. London is an absolute slam dunk number one wide receiver that's going to be able to, you can use him anywhere on the field. He may not be a burner for you, but just like you're talking about, go get Velus Jones in the 4th round if you want a burner. Get Drake London, make him your number one receiver, and let him be your number one receiver for the next 10 years. It's that easy. Whoever takes him, it's not hard. Just do that. Just do it. Sometimes it doesn't need to be hard. And with London and Wilson, just throwing him out there again, I think they're both just slam dunks. You can't miss.
Yeah. You can say that again. Oh, Drake London, you sweet angel. How I wish I knew exactly how fast you were. But sometimes you get your ankle broken.
that's how elusive he is.
Yeah. He's elusive. His pro day's been rescheduled. It's now in November. No, I'm just joking. Yeah, you talk about his versatility. You know, I don't think a lot of people know this, but the first 2 years at USC, he was a slot guy. You know, like pretty much all of his snaps were in the slot until this past year. And that's awesome. When you have a guy that's like, you know, Treylon Burks size, maybe bigger, and he's just playing the slot, then he makes it work outside. He proves to you, he answers that question that we have about Treylon, like, what's going on, man? But there's nothing bad you can say about Drake London, except I've got a couple of bad things to say about him. This is what I do when I find a guy that I'm crazy about. I'm like, you know what? I got to break him down in my mind, just in case I don't end up with him. But I'd say there are a couple of bad drops. He had some catches that he tried to like cradle and bounce off his chest. And that kind of sucks because he has like a beautiful, beautiful hands catch. You know, when he high points the ball, it's perfect. But it felt like sometimes he got, I don't know if it's like complacent a little bit, but instead of catching the ball with his hands, he tried to cradle it. Didn't work out for him. For a guy this size, I'd like to see him be more physical and power through tackles. He was extremely physical with the coverage, with the line of scrimmage, just everything. But when he got the ball in his hands, he became kind of a quick agility guy, and it's great that he has those traits. You know, you see him like jumping over guys on film, and it's really cool, but goddamn, man, like lower your shoulder, you know, turn into a running back for a second and bust through a guy and get a little extra. One thing is, I think they kind of left a lot on the table at USC. There's a lot of catches where he's coming back or like camping and gets the ball and then has to start instead of being in stride. Like he didn't have a lot of catches in stride. And I think if you can get him a quarterback that could time him a sweet catch like that and utilize some of the momentum he builds up with that kind of quick feet that he has, then we're talking like a whole nother level. And incredible season. Only held to 8 games, but in that 8 games, he hit 1,000 yards. He had 7 touchdowns. He did a lot of amazing stuff. I really enjoyed watching the Notre Dame game live, where he tied the record of most catches for a wide receiver against Notre Dame, and I believe it was 17. And it was just really cool because they couldn't get a lot going that game, and Notre Dame knew the ball was going to Drake London, but like no one could stop him from catching the ball. And that's the kind of wide receiver he is. He gets to that level where he is unstoppable, contested catches out of this world. He has that catch radius that just means he's going to pull down the ball. And I think he's fucking badass, man. I can't wait to see what he does for Washington Commanders or whatever. So what's up?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's going to want a piece of Drake London. My favorite tweet of the year is that the Packers have never played overseas and they haven't drafted a receiver in the first round. The answer to both is London. Obviously, that's not going to happen unless they make
awesome.
some. Yeah, right. If that's not going to happen unless they make some crazy trade, and then I would I don't know, die probably if that happened. You're seeing a lot of the Jets, and that makes sense to kind of usurp Corey Davis when his contract's up. That makes a lot of sense to me. But honestly, you kind of spoiled it. You already mentioned it. I think the most dangerous spot, send him opposite Scary Terry with the Commanders, and just another team that just traded for Carson Wentz. They're not drafting a quarterback unless they're just already admitting their mistake. So why not give Carson Wentz, Terry McLaurin, and Drake London, say, all right, go prove that you should be a quarterback in the league. And again, just like Marcus Mariota, when he doesn't do it, okay, now you draft a quarterback, and that quarterback has Terry McLaurin, who you're probably about to pay, and Drake London. It makes too much sense not to do. And if they're like the Falcons earlier, if they're fine waiting till next year and just tanking this year, do it. Go get Drake London. Yeah, he's not going to be, maybe he doesn't make the most sense for your positional need, but if you're planning to get a quarterback next year already, give him the weapons up front, get him next year, get some linemen. Easy.
That is easy.
Mic drop.
I'll take it a step further. You know, that outside USC role that he was playing this last year, that was the Michael Pittman role, you know? And Michael Pittman was just making it work with Carson Wentz. So you could just step in and shake his hand and be like, let's do this, except I'm better at basketball than Michael Pittman. So
let me be an upgrade in every step, every facet.
There you go. Well, I didn't mean to spoil that. I just thought
I was just giving you shit.
That would be beautiful. And then I'd circle all the way back to being like happy about the trade again, because you can't have Scary Terry and Drake London. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
So if the commies can have them, let it happen.
Well, that brings us our champion, Breece Hall. The Big 12. It makes sense.
Yeah.
They won it in basketball. They won it in football.
Yeah. Power 12. I mean, Power 1. I mean, Power 5. Taking care of business. Breece Hall.
What can you say?
Yeah. Production is out of this world with Breece Hall. I mean, 1,562 yards last year, and then this past year, 1,460. Touchdowns are just stupid. Like, we're talking about 50 touchdowns in 3 years. That's great. That is great. I don't know, man. I'll let you talk about him if you want. I'm obviously over here walking backwards from.
I mean, there's
edge.
not
Walkering backwards.
there's not a ton to say. I mean, I don't know. He's the clear number one pick in this class to me. No running back matches his versatility. He's a great pass catcher out of the backfield and a great runner. So he is the definition of a 3-down back. I'm sad when I watch tape on him, knowing that I'm not going to get him anymore because I traded the number one overall pick. But, I mean, he's just everything you want in a running back. He's got a 94th percentile burst score. He ran a 4.39, but he weighed 220 pounds. He's just an absolute animal. And then, okay, is he a athletic darling but didn't produce? No, he fucking produced, just like you were saying. So there's no real red flags. He should be a slam dunk. And yeah, I mean, it's hard to talk about him. You know, everyone's going to be talking about him. He's probably going to be the number one overall pick in most Dynasty rookie drafts. So if you don't know about him, what are you doing here? But you know, he's just a dominant force at the running back position, and in a non-super flex league, that's gold right there. So you just have to go with Breece Hall.
Yeah, history speaks for itself. You know, there's not 60 startable running backs in fantasy like there are wide receivers, right? Mm-hmm. So when you get a guy that comes out strong like this, insane athletic profile, stupid production, 50 touchdowns in 3 years, you got to go for it. You know, the guy had 310 receiving yards as a running back. That's exactly what you're looking for. 5.8 yards per attempt. You know, what are you going to do? And he played with the, you know, not the greatest O-line at Ohio State. So he's used to running through adversity. If he can get past, you know, the first level, the guy just takes off. And that's exactly what you're looking for. Pushes the sticks, can get in the end zone, can catch the ball. He's about to make somebody real happy. And I mean like some coach in the NFL extremely happy. And I guess he'll make me happy. I just, you know, Kenneth Walker, what are you going to do? I'll stop doing this. I'll just hang up my headphones here. But yeah, you got anything on the landing spot?
Yeah, I mean, just like all the other RBs, it's kind of hard. But there's some places that make sense. The Texans makes a lot of sense. The Falcons make a lot of sense. The Buccaneers make sense to me.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a team who doesn't have a lot of needs, who really wants to win a Super Bowl, and who they could see maybe a dominant force on the running back side, putting them just over the edge, and that's the Buffalo Bills.
Beefalo.
They have a late first-round pick, not a huge amount of needs. Just spend that first-round pick on Breece Hall.
That's insane.
Like,
that would be
why
awesome.
wouldn't you? You know, like, it's not like they need some huge offensive lineman. Their pass rush could improve, but they also drafted 2 rookies last year. Maybe give them another year and draft another one in the second round if you really need help at pass rush. Just go get Breece Hall. Give your offense just one more piece and tell me you can't beat everyone in the AFC playoffs if you can run the ball with Breece Hall. Fuck Devin Singletary. Fuck Zach Moss. Just give it to Breece Hall. Those guys are on their way out anyway. And just let this Buffalo offense fly and bring that city a Super Bowl.
I
don't know. It makes too much sense to me.
Yeah. Goddamn, man.
I
think they're going to go with a corner, personally, but
maybe
that's all right. That's all right. If they took, that's why, like, I'm trying to, you know, I can't get that excited because Breece Hall with the Bills is amazing until you know, Josh Allen vultures all this fucking goal line TDs.
Yeah,
but that's okay because he's going to be catching the ball. He's going to be running the ball. He's going to be doing all the things that they need. You know, a combination of like 3 different guys to do. And if you can do that with one guy, get him in the first round, get him for 5 years, go get your Super Bowl, you know, pull the Chiefs, but come correct with it.
Ooh.
and get your guy. There's no missing on that. I love it. Makes me happy.
Just a second. Let's just all take a moment to daydream how beautiful that would be.
I don't have enough room in my underpants for this.
Yep.
But yeah, you said it all.
Congrats to Breece Hall,
Congrats.
future
Hey,
Buffalo Bill.
hey.
94th percentile burst score, 4.39, 40-inch vert.
And he's actually 5'11", unlike Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, sorry, man. I had a spreadsheet issue here.
Oh, I guess me
I had a
printing that sheet
spreadsheet
out to the right of
tissue.
you, just it's chopped liver, huh?
My God, dude. Do you not
Best burst
see I'm
score.
struggling here?
Of this draft class.
Fuck yeah.
Not the best first score that we've seen since doing a podcast, but that's neither here nor there.
Okay. Is that Jonathan Taylor? No.
AJ Dillon.
AJ Dillon, yeah. I guess JT was pre-pod.
Yeah.
Pre-pod.
Well, he does have a thank you, Math Bomb, for everything you do. A raw
Yeah.
athletic score of 9.96, which is pretty close to 10.
Pretty
Watson.
close.
Yeah. Swing and a miss. Swing and a miss.
He'll be a chief.
You got any sleepers, man? This is a good time to just. I got a ton of, you know me. I got a
Also,
ton of dudes.
subscribe to
that aren't gonna-
YouTube.
Yeah, subscribe, like, download our podcast on Spotify. Send us handwritten letters.
I mean, I don't have a ton that we haven't already mentioned, but for people that haven't listened, I can almost guarantee you that Alec Pierce is going to go way earlier than people think he is. I'm already seeing buzz about him. I'm already seeing buzz that maybe the Packers want to take him in the second round.
Nice.
So
he's the 1-5.
Yeah, Alec Pierce is a badass, no doubt.
yeah, Alec Pierce is a guy I would watch. Pierre Strong is a guy I would watch. But yeah, I don't have any groundbreaking guys for you, so I can let you swing at that if you've got some that we haven't really mentioned.
Yeah.
He's got like 27.
I only
of them.
have 50, 60. No, obviously I've talked about Isaiah Wesson a bunch. I want to kick it back to Eric Ezukuma. I am still pretty pumped on him. He had himself a visit with the Kansas City Chiefs, and I was like, uh-oh.
What's
So
up?
getting nasty with that. Obviously, Max Borghi out of Washington State. Still excited about that running back. And I feel like I had some other guys I'm kind of spacing out right now. I just want to make sure anyone else had anything.
You know, I love my boy Keontae Ingram.
Oh,
So
yeah.
if anyone takes him before the 3-8, I'll be pretty upset.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's weird because I don't necessarily have sleepers. I like Keontae. I obviously liked Kennedy Brooks, but you know his ass is just a tidbit faster than Isaiah Spiller.
Fast ass.
But I don't know, man. I'm looking at those the Eagles and the Chicago Bears. If they happen to draft any running backs with those Miles Sanders and David Montgomery possibly on the out, slow burn.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah, man. Well, cool. I just throwing that shit out there. Obviously, I'm still, I still like my Tyler Beatties and whatnot.
boy.
You got guys like that out
you
there.
still like Larry Roundtree though?
Man, I was just talking to a guy about that. It's kind of, it is what it is. Larry Roundtree. Sometimes you can't win them all, but I didn't know Austin Eckler fucked around and became a red zone back.
That's true,
man. Late blooming. But all right, well, I'm sure I'll think of more sleepers in the years to come, and I'll get them fresh to you. I know I've got another wide receiver. I can't believe I'm spacing on it right now, but
DJ?
Velus Jones. Yeah, I mean he's good, but or something. Anyway,
Oh, he knows. He just doesn't want to tell us anyway.
that's not true.
That's RDR.
I was sitting in the car drinking, waiting for AJ to show up. That fucked me up, man. That fucked my game up. So it's been a rough drunk research for you.
Drunk research.
I don't wanna let it go. show.